All right, everybody, we're back. My next guest is a regular contributor to This American Life on National Public Radio, and he's the author of a new book of very funny personal essays called Fraud. Please welcome David Rakoff. Now, you were a little reluctant to come on the show, is that right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been such a strange time, and,
right.
you know, I'm a humorist, and I wouldn't really know, wasn't quite sure what to talk about. And I mean, although we keep on hearing that, you know, laughter is the best medicine, which has always been kind of a strange pronouncement to me, because I think the research indicates that, you know, for like infections, antibiotics are the best medicine.
Yeah,
Cancer
right.
responds very well to chemotherapy. You know,
yeah,
so,
right.
You know, getting Whoopi Goldberg to do 5 minutes on your broken leg isn't really going to help.
It's not going to do anything.
At all.
But
so.
We must soldier on.
Indeed.
We have to do the best
yes,
we can.
We have
now,
to.
something happened. I guess you were personally affected. Something happened to your television, right? During the attack.
Well, to everybody's television, everybody who didn't have cable, all the reception went out. So I still have a television, but it's not really, I call it the Channel 2. So now I just
That's the only channel you get.
It's the only channel I get. So I spent days, you know, with Dan Rather.
Right.
And now I'm
We'll hear about that later.
Yeah. Let's just say it's better than a Kissinger's eyebrow.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you could have abandoned, you haven't tried it. You could have, I mean, you know, it's so funny, but in these times, you either feel like, oh, I can't get, you know, news from my computer, or I can't get it from the television, I'm screwed. When there's newspapers, you always... Did you try to get a newspaper?
Oh, yeah, and I get the newspaper every day, and I'm sort of obsessed with it. But, you know, on the day after, on the 12th, when I really needed a newspaper, the Times, which generally comes to my house, you couldn't get it for love or money anywhere. No, they just didn't exist. And the only way you could get it was go into Midtown to the Times building. So I walked up to 43rd Street, and I got there, and there was a line of 300 people, and we were waiting for the trucks to come with the papers. And I was supposed to get them for some friends, and there was a woman behind me with a cell phone, and it was taking a really long time, and I wanted to call them to tell them that everything was okay. So I turned to her and I said, if I give you $1, can I make a call? It's just a local call. She said, no, I don't really want to use my minutes. Not her batteries, but her minutes, a purchasable commodity that I was offering to purchase.
Right.
And I sort of turned around and I thought, I'm going to talk about you on national television.
Yeah. You must... Good. You got your revenge on her. Talking about her at 1:35. You must really love the Times, which, by the way, is getting some great... We should get some money from them. We're plugging them left and right tonight.
Oh, I know.
You must love the Times to walk literally miles to get it.
Well, you know, I like the Times a lot, and I sort of get a lot of work from them, and I'm very grateful. But sometimes you know, they don't really speak to my life experience as a freelance writer. You know.
In what way?
Well, I mean, there's that section, House and Home, whatever, it's on Thursdays. I don't know if it's national. But they always have, you know, handy renovating tips. And, you know, it's like, here's a hint, take unlimited resources. And it's like, oh, really, for $70,000 I can renovate my kitchen? How innovative. You know,
So they're aiming at a certain, people with
Well, a demographic I've never even met. They had a feature on what to do with that extra closet. And it was always like, get rid of that junk and put in seagrass wallpaper and a Buddha. And it's like, who the hell has an extra closet in New York City?
If you have an extra, it's true. If you have an extra closet in New York City, you rent it to somebody.
As a bedroom, yes.
Some sucker from out of town.
We call it a living room.
Yeah. No, but that's hilarious. Did you? I can't get over that. I still can't. I'm not from here. I'm from Boston originally. When I came here and saw what they are charging for rooms here, even in the worst of times, what they're charging for rooms here. I mean, we did a piece on it on the show. It's just absolutely mind-boggling.
Oh, years ago, I went to see an apartment, and it was something like $700. And it was back when I didn't have $700. And it was literally a hallway. They had just blocked off the hallway. And I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a conceptual art piece that I had somehow stumbled in on.
It's like they could like say, they could hold up a cardboard box and go, $40,000 a year. you know?
And then you expect to find like some German dancer all in black, you know, with a large hippo or something.
No, that's what you expect,
Yes,
not me.
true.
This is your first book, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
That's great. That's a big thing to have a book out. Are you used to the whole concept of strangers, you know, knowing your work and being able to buy your book?
Well, I mean, it doesn't happen a whole lot. I mean, I wish it would sort of happen a little more, I guess. But I was at a party, and you know, someone came up and said, "Oh, you know, I introduced himself. I've just bought your book because I'm about to get a new jaw, and I'll be laid up for weeks." And I didn't want to be arrogant and say, "Oh, well, don't do that because the book is terribly funny." Because, you know, maybe it isn't. Maybe word on the street is that if you don't have to move your jaw, that's the book to read. But but it seemed like, you know, I just got a vasectomy and I'm going to sit on this belt sander. It just didn't seem like a good idea. So.
I love it when people say the strangest things. People are always saying to me, like, "Oh, I caught your show the other night because I had to be up." I'm like, how do I, you know, thanks. Fraud is available right now. It's out there, and as you can tell from this gentleman, it's a very funny book. Thanks for being here.
Thanks
really
for
good to
having
have you. David Rakoff, everyone. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, my next guest is a regular contributor to This American Life on National Public Radio and the author of a book of very funny personal essays called Fraud, which is now available in paperback. Please welcome David Rakoff. Now, David, you've been up to a lot lately. You went to Belize. Is that right? You took a trip to Belize. Was this business? Was it pleasure?
Oh, it was not pleasure. No, it was. I was sent to cover a Playboy shoot, a TV Playboy shoot for a magazine. Which is a great many men's fantasies. Sadly, not my own.
Kind of wasted, you think?
Well, in highly coded language, I am the kind of adult man who thinks a great deal about what kind of man I'd be in prison. So.
All right.
It varies.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's sure. It's all different scenarios in there. Yeah.
Sometimes, you know.
So you get sent to cover this Playboy TV shoot in Belize.
Yes, and it's a television show that airs on the Playboy channel only in Latin America. It's called Sesión Privada.
I get that,
guess, private session.
Yeah.
And it's meant to showcase the beauty of Latin American women and prime vacation spots. It cuts back and forth.
Right.
So it's like writhe, 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 naked, 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 ocean, 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 palm tree, palm tree, palm tree.
Right.
So I just went and, you know.
What was it like?
It was.
With the women, like, I mean.
Well, they were they were lovely. I'm technically old enough to be all of their fathers. I mean, they're incredible. They're shockingly young.
Right.
And they had all won a beauty contest, a Playboy Latin American beauty contest. And the hair and makeup guy said to me, we were in the shade of some tree watching it all happen. He said, "Okay, these are not professional girls. They don't pluck. They don't wax. They don't tweeze. I'm exhausted." It's just great. So, you know, so I just hung out for 2 days.
You said you were in the shade of a tree. I'm assuming that you are not a sun worshiper.
I really hate the sun.
You hate you hate the sun. I love the
Yeah.
sun, but it can't be in it too long. You hate it.
It sort of makes me panic. So, you know, we're coming on summer in New York, so that's
What do you do in the summer then? A lot of people go away on the weekend.
Oh,
what do you do?
I'm essentially a lonely shut-in. I either stay in my apartment or I go to an air-conditioned movie. I do, you know, for 20 years people have inviting me, "Oh, you should come out to the house. Come on out to the house." And it's just my nightmare is to go out to the house.
Your nightmare is visiting someone's beach house? Why?
Being a house guest is incredibly hard, I find. You want to be the good house guest, so you sleep with a hair trigger like some, you know, POW in the jungle, and it's like, "Are they up? Are they up? I've got to go downstairs and, you know, make the pancakes, or
right.
must go to the farm stand." And it's just like by the end you check yourself into the hospital because it's so damn exhausting.
So you don't. When was the last time you actually were invited and went? Do you remember?
Oh, I went last summer to a friend's house on Long Island for 12 hours.
Wow. And what happened at the end of the 12 hours? You just said, I got to get out of here?
Well, I woke up at about 6 a.m. and everybody was asleep, and then I went to catch the bus. So I went out to the main street of this little town, and I'm waiting for the bus, and there's no one around. And it's very pretty, and there's a little Lutheran church, a white clapboard number with a outbuilding in the back, and it's got a thrift shop.
Oh.
And you know what they called the thrift shop of this Lutheran church in Long Island? The Glory Hole. Now,
are you kidding?
No, I'm not. And so educate me, because is there something in the New Testament about a glory hole that then my ilk took and made filthy? Because I sat there and I wasn't caffeinated, so I sort of slapped myself and I said, "What does this say? The glory hole?" And I went back twice to look at it.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
And come on, we're zing-zanging. It's fun. And so what was this? Why do they call it that? You have no idea why they called it that?
No, I thought you as a Christian could enlighten me about, like, is there some saint who emerged from or a priest? I have no idea. I really am still mystified.
That is so strange. We should find out. We should go there and find out what that's all about. We should send a camera.
I have no idea. I really am still...
So basically, your plan for this summer is
to stay at home.
Stay at home in your apartment. What if it gets really, really hot?
Oh, it never gets really all that.
Yeah, it does.
bad.
And here in New York, you got...
I have an air conditioner, I guess. Or
Right,
I'll go to
right.
a movie. I'll go see more movies or something.
Right.
Or I'll drink things. I think.
Well, I think you got it all figured out.
Yeah, it's just a real...
You're going to be fine. I'm not worried about you. Fraud, very funny book by Mr. David Rakoff is out there. It's in paperback now.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and also you're on the radio quite often.
I am.
Yeah, excellent. Mr. David Rakoff, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Always good to have you. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Stick around. We're back. My next guest is a regular contributor to This American Life on National Public Radio and the author of this new and very funny book called Don't Get Too Comfortable. Please welcome David Rakoff. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I like to time my questions for just as people take a sip of water. It kills airtime. No, my first question is, one of the things, I'm confined to this space. I love this job, but I'm confined here. This is part of what I do, and I don't roam around. You, as an author, you go out and you have these incredible experiences in order to write about them a lot of the time.
I do. I get to go out into the wider world, but, truthfully, count yourself lucky, because given the choice, I would stay home.
You would stay home.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't like it. But some of the things you do have sounded really interesting to me. For example, you recently flew, I didn't even know they had an airline, but you flew on Hooters Airline. Hooters Airline.
Yes, indeed.
First of all, it sounds like a joke, but there really is a Hooters Airline.
There is a Hooters Airline. It flies primarily in and out of their hub city, which is Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That nexus of commerce and industry. Not a lot can happen geopolitically without Myrtle Beach's say-so.
Right.
So there's, they have this plane. They have like 3 planes or something like that. And every plane has a pilot, obviously, and a co-pilot. And
good, they took care of that part, yeah.
Two flight attendants who are, trained in safety procedures and dressed in normal flight attendant uniforms, and 2 Hooters girls who aren't and aren't. And
so what are they wearing the famous Hooters getup that I see every time I go?
Yes, the orange shorts and the nude tan hose, which make their legs look tandooried, and the athletic shirts and,
really tight shirts.
Very tight shirts and prom-ready makeup. And they're like sort of adorable little pets on the airline, because their job is to entertain. They're like pneumatic rodeo clowns, and what they do is once the...
pneumatic rodeo clowns, all right.
Sure. It's in their literature, actually.
Yes, yeah.
And once I came out with fluff on my... I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Once the flight starts, they lead you in fun. So they have like a quiz, and the answers to the quiz are Hooters related. Like, how many sauces for their wings? 6. Mild, medium, hot, spicy Jack, 3 Mile, and 911, which the Hooters girl called 9/11. which was...
Bad choice. Yeah, really bad choice, I would think.
Bataan Death March, Honduran earthquake, and 9/11 are their various sources. It's very strange. And, you know, how many Hooters are there in Myrtle Beach, you know?
Right. So they ask you these questions now. Are the Hooters girls are roaming the aisles then to entertain people during the flight?
It's fun all the way down. And at one point...
Are the flight attendants doing real flight attendant stuff, or?
Not on my flight, because you know, I was looking for something. I don't know what I needed, an oxygen mask or a drink or something. And I looked back to the plane, and they're just hanging out over the seats. It's coffee, tea, or me in the back of the plane.
Right.
And then 4 minutes before we land, one of the flight attendants comes up to the front, turns around the back of the plane, goes to her colleague, Carol. We've been in a nosedive for 30 minutes. There's like nobody... We're landing.
Like this is some strange thing that happens every now and then. Now, you've done some things that, I mean, that sounds like, okay, that would be an interesting experience, I would think.
Yeah, that was fine.
But you've done some things that you couldn't stand, right?
Hated, yeah.
Well, tell me the thing you hated the most.
Well, yeah, I was sent by an outdoor adventure magazine to go whitewater rafting in Chilean Patagonia, which is at the tip of South America all the way down, in a series of Class 5 rapids. Class 5 is as far as a human being can go. Beyond that, then it just becomes a water meat grinder and you'll die. So
there's no, Class 6, Class 5 is...
Class 5 is as high as it'll go. So they sent me down to whitewater raft with Bobby Kennedy Jr. and his family in Glen Close. And they were hoping, it was a big sort of environmental trip, and they thought, go, write about it, they'll behave horribly. And of course, everybody is delightful. And, you know, they're saving my life on the river every single day. So it's incredibly unsporting for me to write anything.
Right, you're trying to write like a funny thing about them, but they're actually quite competent.
They're completely competent, and I'm just on these terrifying rapids. And everybody is rowing and, you know, when you go over these huge mountains of water, these sort of ejaculations of sound come out because you can't do anything. It's like a roller coaster, but more horrible. And, you know, Glen Close is like rafting, and she's going, ha, 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 ha. And her bone structure is getting better, and the Kennedys are all, yeah! And I'm there, you know, the only sounds coming out of me are those of the terrified Jew, like, oh, my God! So you can...
And somewhere, yeah, Seth Meyers thinks he's being recognized, yeah. Being recognized.
So that was 2 years ago, and every morning I still wake up and oh, thank God I'm not on that river in Chile.
Yeah, I would think that would be because you could die. You could have died.
Oh yeah. You can completely die. I'm not joking. You know, it's not one of those.
We can't. Yeah, we have to put this. Now, did you? I'm curious. Did anyone videotape that trip?
Yes, it's a fancy sort of outfit where they videotape, and it's the videotape of Dorian Gray, because while I'm just paddling away, the actual subtext of the video is everybody's looking beautiful and waspy and gorgeous, and then there's me, just, I look like I'm saying, can anybody get me home? I'm very anxious.
It's going to be Woody Allen's next movie, yeah. It sounds good. Well, Don't Get Too Comfortable is the new book, and it's hilarious, and it's in stores now, so check it out. David, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Good man. David Rakoff, we'll take a break. We'll be right back.